Very good evening, everyone. Welcome to this Jnana Vaividya 2.0 seventh session. And good morning to people joining from US and Canada. Can you mute everyone, Raja? Or request everyone to be on mute until they need to speak. So friends, we can't expect a good harvest when the seeds are not sown properly. I thought I will start today's evening with this comment because we are going to talk about sailing through life's journey with success. That's the topic for today, where we have a wonderful speaker, Dr. Rashmi Kapse, who's going to help us define success and help us meet and exceed our goals. The speaker intends to provide a little hand holding that we might need through this journey. And she's also going to introduce some concepts to bring clarity and give us some tools to plan and execute a path to a balanced and successful life. In these Jnana Vaividya sessions, we have been having vocational diversity talks. Today is the 18th session. And we had the first round of session. Today is the 19th session, I would say. We had first 12 sessions in the past in 2020. And now in this second edition, thanks to the guidance from Dr. Radhakrishna, our vocational service director, that we have been able to restart the second edition. And this is the seventh session from the second edition. One more session to go. And after that, again, we will pause for a while. And maybe after 3 or 4 months, if we feel right, we can restart this. The whole objective here is to get together all the Rotarians, all the friends of Rotary, and listen to some of the leading people all across the globe who have done wonderful work in their individual vocations. Because vocational service is all about knowing various vocations. So that's the objective of this particular thing. And while we are speaking about vocations, let me also brief all of you about the vocational service avenue. What does it do? Rotarians, we are all people of action, serving the community under various heads, as you can see here: integrity and ethics, career guidance and counseling, skill development, entrepreneurship and micro enterprises, vocational training teams, Rotary action groups, and vocational diversity and awards. So these are the pillars for the vocational service avenue, which have been helping all our Rotarians in their business development as well as professional advancement. This particular wing of Rotary District 3190 has been doing wonders with respect to all these aspects that we spoke about. So once again, welcoming today's speaker, Dr. Rashmi Kapse, welcoming our chief guest, Rotarian Mohan Kumar, all the guest clubs. We have 14 guest clubs today, including one inner wheel club, and lots of friends of Rotary, lots of non-Rotarians who have joined today. They have confirmed they are joining today, and it's a wonderful gathering today. Let me not take more time and proceed to the next event where Smita Kulkarni would introduce the speaker for the day before we go on to listening to the speak.
Thank you, Manoj. Dr. Rashmi Kapse is an ICF certified global executive coach with over 25 years of experience. As an entrepreneur, she runs a cultural coaching and consulting company that serves organizations venturing into the Asian market, as well as for Asian organizations making acquisitions in Europe, US, and Canada. She has worked with hundreds of leaders and business owners to help them and their companies grow. She has coached and mentored CEOs of several early stage tech enabled social enterprises. She works for small and medium sized companies to help them grow. She conducts programs for team building, and I like this word, lunch and learns, and webinars for inculcating the growth mindset. Rashmi serves as the board of directors at Society for Intercultural Education, Training and Research, which is also known as SITAR, USA. She, as a mentor to ICEA, which is AISEA, which is an organization to help early stage tech enabled social enterprises. Rashmi coaches founders and CEOs of startups in healthcare, education, and agriculture. A warm welcome to Rashmi for today's session. We're looking forward to hearing from you. I myself am leading a startup, social enterprise. So looking forward to learning more about how to succeed and grow. Welcome, Dr. Rashmi.
Thank you so much, Smita. Thank you, Manoj, for having me here. I am really happy to be at this meeting of Rotarians and so many others who have joined. I'm going to share my slides in a minute, but just wanted to talk about the topic for today. And it was Manoj's suggestion that I talk about sailing through life's journey with success. And the analogy of sailing is very intriguing. So when we see a ship sailing on the water far away and we are at the shore looking at it, it seems so effortless. You know, we're not putting, doesn't seem like anyone is putting any effort. The boat is just going on the water. Um, but in reality, there are so many aspects to that for it sailing smoothly through those waters. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that and how we can use that analogy in our own lives. Even though that boat is seemingly going smoothly on the water, there is a wind to it, the current of the water, all of those things are somewhere stopping it, hampering its speeding it forward, but that the captain of that boat has already taken charge of that boat and is going to make sure to chalk the right path forward, to make adjustment to the sail and course correction if it is needed. And we are the captains of our own lives and of this boat that we want to see sailing smoothly and taking us where we want to be. So just give me a moment to share my screen. Can you guys see my slides?
Yes, yes.
So we're going to start by talking about the definition of success. What does success mean to each one of us, right? What does success mean to you? You could be a CEO, an investor, a student, a homemaker, a mother, a parent, depending on what your role is, your expectations from yourself and others' expectations of you change. And that leads to how you define success. According to Brian Tracy, this quote that you see here, success is the ability to live your life the way you want to live it, doing what you most enjoy, and surrounded by people who admire and respect. So it is your definition of success that will actually give you success. If someone else defines that success for you, that just go be a doctor or go be an engineer or do this and do that, and this is what our expectation from you is, then it becomes that much harder for you to achieve that success. So again, the idea of success also depends on what your core values are. I'm not going to talk a lot about core values, but for cultures like ours, when we come from India, family is a very important core value to you. So when you are thinking of saying that I am doing this for my parents, maybe that is what you define your success as. But for someone, I do a lot of work in India, in the US, and in Europe. And for them, even though family is an extremely important value, it's a very individualistic culture. So their definition of success could be very different from what I or my kids or my friends define success as. So we're going to take the next step to how to define this success for yourself, and that is clarity. Okay. If we don't have clarity, we are not really able to find that path that we chalk for ourselves for the success that we want to achieve. The first step in getting that clarity is knowing who you are as a person. Know thyself, know yourself. As a coach, I always try to ask a lot of questions, and questions lead to clarity. By the end of our session today, I'm hoping that a lot of you will learn how to ask these questions to yourself and help your kids and people around you also ask these questions so that they can gain clarity and take steps that will lead them to that success. So, our first step towards clarity is to know yourself. Who are you? What do you like? What do you enjoy most? And there are lots of assessment tools that are available online and otherwise to figure out what your behavioral style is, or what your personality traits are. You can always use them, but if you don't have access to them, then you can talk to your family members, your friends, and see how they perceive you. Get some feedback whenever that's available. Maybe it's from your friends, maybe it's from your coworkers, your managers. And if others if you do not agree with others' perception of who you are, they just don't match to who you think you are, then you really need to dig deeper and definitely try to ask questions. Why does that perception of others does not match with who you think you are? The next steps to understanding or gaining more clarity is, what do you want from life? And again, as I mentioned, we come from a very family oriented culture, so there are lots of expectations of others from us. Even when I was very, very close to my mom, and my mom passed away few years back, and every time uh, I think we need to mute someone. So every time I'm thinking of what I want to achieve or what I have achieved, I always think back to saying, what would my mom think of me? Is she going to be happy with what I'm doing right now? Is it going to be, is this the right thing for me? And even though I'm thinking if it is right for me or not at this moment, I'm also thinking of what my parents would think of me, and would they be proud of me for doing this? And so that it becomes a very important criteria for me to define my success. So it's not just what I understand, what I want, but that what I want could also be what others want of me. So having that clarity also. Again, understanding what you are good at. I might want to really do something that I'm really, really bad at, and I can take steps to improve. But at the same time, first I want to find out what I'm best at. What are my strengths? So figuring out those strengths is again a very important step towards gaining that road to success. Understanding what your constraints are equally important. We all have our strengths, and some of us play on our strengths, try to maximize our strengths and then gain that success. And some of us hold ourselves back by looking at the constraints. Knowing your constraints can really help you work around how to succeed. We always say that this is something that I really want and I want to do, but this one aspect of getting there might be holding me back. Let's say I want to lose 10 pounds in the next 3 months. I cannot just lose 10 pounds in the next 3 months by just running around and then going and eating ice cream and cakes every single time I have a chance to do that. I have to plan so that there are things that I can do easily. I love working out, I love running, and that's something that comes easy to me. But then controlling what I eat may not be as easy for me as it might be for somebody else. And that is a constraint for me. So, how do I make sure that I chalk out a plan for me so that I'm able to do that? And that is understanding your constraints and then figuring out how to win over them. So, to make it really simple for us today to how to plan and create a strategy for ourselves to lead us to success, I'm going to take you to how we plan as coaches, how we plan success for people. And we call this diamond mapping. Diamond mapping is a very important technique to really gain success in every area of life, sailing through it. Okay. So, family and relationship is one of the criteria we talk about. The second one is financial independence, business or career success, and then health and fitness. And the importance of each one could be different for different people. And sometimes I have clients that will say to me that spirituality or religion is extremely important to them, or financial independence just doesn't matter because they have loads of money. It could be one of the criterias is not important for them at all, and it is your diamond map. So always remember that it is mapped for you to define your success. So if these categories do not resonate with you, then change them. They are the most common categories, and majority of people choose them. That's why I have them on the map. You can create your own map. In the family and relationship category, it could be your relationship with your spouse or your parents or your children, your friends, with your co-workers, with your subordinates, with your managers. You can define it the way you want it to be and have those small miniature goals for you so that you can take one step at a time to reaching them and exceeding those goals. Now, when you see this map, you see numbers, right? So the numbers are from 1 to 10, 1 being the lowest in a particular category, and 10 being the best or highest level of success. So I'm going to stop talking for a minute or so, and I'm going to let you draw it on a piece of paper and figure out where you are in each of these categories. Okay. Draw a circle or maybe a dot with different colors so that you know where you are. So now hopefully there are certain categories that you are really at a 8 or a 9 or a 10. And then there are others maybe where you are at a 3 or a 4. Or if you're already there and you have achieved that success that you want, then probably you're a 10 on each of those categories. Wherever you are, there will always be somewhere else you want to be. And we can add those categories, or we can increase this map for yourself, change the scale of the map. Let us say now that you have some clarity, and 1 minute is not enough, I know. We are just trying to, you can use these slides later on to really take your time, think. You will have to go back to it again and again to really modify where you want to be. But for now, let's just assume that you've already marked all your points and you know exactly where you want to be on this diamond map. If that is the case, then I'm going to take you to the next slide, that is goals. And how do you set your goals to achieve where you want to be on this diamond map?
Yeah, Rashmi, sorry to interrupt you. There is one question which I thought is relevant. In all these four, the scale itself, isn't it relative and specific to every individual? That's one of the question from one of our presidents. I think we want to
Absolutely.
address it then and there.
Yes, absolutely. It is very important. And for each individual, the importance of each category is going to differ, and where you are and the scale at which you want yourself to look at what is a 1 and what is a 10 is going to differ. There might be places where some of us might not want to be at a 10. I don't care. I don't want to be at a 10 on this particular category. And that's perfectly okay. So it is our map, it's our success. We define it ourselves and we take it to where we want to be. So it's very relative to what you want to achieve in life. Okay. This is a method that I really, really like. And when I started using it a few years back, I felt that um, it didn't come easy to me. And the reason is I have done a lot of, I am a certified yoga trainer, and I started doing yoga at a very early age of 11 or 11 and a half, 12 with my father. And one of the things that I realized in my life is I like to take it in my own speed, and I like to just float around without realizing that if I don't have a plan in place, I'm just going to be floating around, getting nowhere. And when I realized that in my personal life and I started setting my goals, I felt that this method is very, very useful. And you may want to modify it if you like, or if you might just want to stick to this method. It's called the 10 goal method. And you write your goals every single day. Whatever goals you choose, they could be five. I call it the 10 goal method because I like to write 10 goals, but you could write 20 or you could write 5, whatever is most important to you. You could write 2 in each category that you have, that we talked about in the diamond map, or you could have more. But make sure once you set those goals, write them down on a piece of paper with a pencil or a pen every single day. Try not to use your laptop as much. If we have younger audience, the chances are they might choose to just write it on their laptop, create an Excel spreadsheet and do it. There's no harm in doing that, but there is a definite benefit to writing it with your hand because you tend to remember it. You're using your hand because your motor skills get developed with your hand, and when you write something, you tend to remember it better. Each goal, write it in first person, I. And obviously, write goals for yourself. I can't say, I want my son to start a company or I want my son to come first in class. Not my goal. I can't achieve that because it's not my goal. It's his or her goal, right? So only write your specific goal. Write a goal that is, and make it a positive statement. I want to is not a positive statement. I am, I earn so much, I weigh so much, I have this. So make it a positive statement and make it an active verb. And try to write at least 10 goals every single day. Try to repeat those goals. Don't write new ones every single day because then you don't have continuity. You don't have the strength it takes to achieve those goals. So make sure that your goals are well defined. You're writing them daily. You're making them specific. And I'm going to take you to the next slide where I'm going to teach you how to create very, very smart, specific goals. Okay. Any questions for the earlier slide? We're going to take questions towards the end also, but if there is anything relevant to the previous slides, then I want to address it.
Yeah, nothing so far, Rashmi.
Okay. So let's go to how to set these SMART goals. And some of you might have already done this in your life or seen this before. SMART goals are something that has been a long time. People have been setting SMART goals. SMART is an acronym for specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. Look at the yellow part here, achievable. I always like to talk about these achievable goals more in terms of aligned with your values. I'm using that A to use aligned with your values. If a specific goal is not aligned with your values, it is absolutely difficult to achieve it. And I'm going to go into the details of that later on. But let's first talk about specific goals. How can you make a goal specific? Why do you have to make goal specific? Okay. So you may wish to be the best student, or you want to double your investment in the next year, or you want a promotion in the next year. All of those things can be goals. And those are wishes or dreams until you take steps to make that a reality. So, are you really taking steps, or is it just a wish? If you want your dream or wish to really become into reality, then you must set very, very specific goals. So for success in every area of your life, this 10 goal method will work. And then these smart goals. Now, I'm going to move from this analogy of sailing a little bit, and I'm going to talk about something that is really close to to me, and that is hiking. I love hiking, and I love going up the mountain and climbing and trekking. Every week I do that. So let us say I want to set a goal to climb Mount Everest. Okay, this is not a specific goal. It looks like a dream right now. I want to go up the mountain. I want to scale Mount Everest. How do I make it specific? So if me or someone else wants to go on the top of that mountain, are you planning on going to the base camp or the summit? So I'm asking the question, what is your objective? Are you going to the base camp or the summit? Once you decide what you want specifically, then you can decide about going about making it measurable. How do you make it measurable? Going to the base camp is not an easy goal. It's a lofty goal for someone who barely walks. If I just don't walk and I don't like to walk, then that's not a very easy goal for me. So I'm going to start by walking 2 miles a day. I'm going to steadily increase to maybe 6 or 7 miles a day. Then I can split this lofty goal into smaller chunks and start measuring. But now I've started walking, let's say 6 miles a day. Am I doing it consistently, or am I doing it once a month and saying, oh, I can walk 6 miles a day now? I have to do it consistently. I have to slowly increase my pace by carrying a little bit of weight, because as I go up the mountain and it is going to be cold, I'm not going to be able to breathe because the oxygen is going to get scanty up there. I have to learn to carry not just my weight, but some extra weight with me. So let's say I start by carrying 10 pounds initially, then I'm increasing to 20 pounds, and then 30 pounds and 40 pounds. I'm going to make it realistic in terms of this is how it's going to be if I actually decide to really take that trip and make that dream into a goal. How do I make it achievable and align them with my values? Let's say I'm an environmentalist and I'm reading a lot about how climbing Mount Everest is ruining the ecological balance in the Himalayas. Do you think I'm really going to be motivated to take that trip and go climb the mountain? Because it doesn't just align with my values, because I am not going to be wanting to do something that is going to harm the Himalayas because I wanted to go climb that mountain. It does not align with my values. So I could practice all I want, but at the end, taking that step to really make it happen, I'm going to hold myself back. So I want to see the positives coming from my achievements of actually climbing Mount Everest. So I have to believe in that goal. I have to feel that something positive is going to come from it. I'm going to motivate a lot of women to do that. It is going to be like a pinnacle of success, and it is going to be good for me, my business, and all the people around me. Then it's going to happen for me. Now, how do I make it realistic? If I have never climbed even a small mountain, a small hill, and I suddenly make it a goal to climb Mount Everest by the end of December 2021, probably it's not realistic. So when I set a goal, it has to be time bound in terms of the realistic aspects of it as well. If we do not set a timeline and do not take small steps and set a deadline to achieve the goals, then it is just a wish. It is a dream. Haven't we heard people saying, अरे एक बार जिंदगी में करना है, मुझे एवरेस्ट क्लाइम करना है, मुझे ये करना है, वहाँ जाना है. All of these things are just dreams if you just keep saying them, unless you take those steps that you really need to take to achieve those things. I've heard people saying, I want to go abroad to study. How much research have you done on that? What are the steps you were taking? Do you know which country you want to go to? Do you know what you want to study? Do you know how much money it's going to cost you? Today, I feel children are so much better at setting goals than what I was at the age of 19 or 20. They have all the information they can get online. I remember going to a small office I grew up in Mumbai, so I went to the small office in Churchgate, which had one computer and everything was on that. And there were these large books from each college in Australia and the United States and the UK. And we went and read these documents to see whether that was the right fit for us. It is not like that anymore. You can just sort of click of a button. Children can go and figure out what they want to do in life, where they want to be in life, how they can achieve that. It's easier, but you still need to set those goals for yourself and help your children set for themselves. Don't set their goals for them. There is one thing that really a question that is very important that we need to keep asking ourselves, and it is, what one activity, if you did continuously, would help you most achieve your most important career, business, or personal goal? And setting goals is not just for someone who is a VP of a company and is trying to become the CEO, or it's not just for a student who's trying to go abroad. It's for all of us, every single day. Today, my goal is to clean my closet and make it really nice and tidy, and it's a goal. What are the steps I'm going to take for that? Am I saving time for it, or am I at the end of the day going to say, oh my God, I was so busy, I just couldn't get to it? Goals are for homemakers, goals are for students, goals are for people who are already succeeding, and goals are for people who think nothing is going my way. It is for things to go your way. That's why we have goals. I have a lot of examples that I can give you from different areas of life, how people who had nothing have gone places. I work with these children in impoverished communities in Pune and try to come to Pune every year so that I can work with them at least for a month at a stretch to help them figure out what they want to do as part of their careers. And to give you one very funny example is when I met for them for the first time, they were all in 10th grade, and each one of them wanted to be a police officer. Their goal of being a police officer came from their lack of exposure to the rest of the world. What could they be? They hadn't thought of it. The only important, powerful position that they saw every single day was a police officer, because he was the one telling them what they could do, what they couldn't do. Their parents, their mothers, their fathers told them that they had to fear the police officer. So that is the only powerful position they saw, and that's what they wanted to be. So exposure is an extremely important thing in life. So we have to read a lot to have lofty goals, watch a lot of things, experience different things in life. Today we have the internet, so people can go and see different things. And I saw a lot of different backgrounds that people have today on Zooms. Really exciting backgrounds. There are some that are close to your heart and close to your home, and there are some that we have never been to, and we aspire to. All of these things we can do by taking these small steps. These children that I talked to you about, they are taking these small steps to get exposure on internet, to see what are the different fields of careers that they can be in. How can they start achieving those careers with small steps? And their parents could be a rickshaw driver, or a mother that is helping people keep their homes nice and clean by cleaning their houses. But they could be someone else, and they could set those goals by getting more exposure to life, planning their life in small steps and small chunks at a time. Those small bites is going to help them eat that whole um, watermelon or an elephant or whatever they have set to eat. So I'm going to take a small pause and see if we have any questions and open it up to all of you to talk about your own aspirations and goals and how today I can help you take that small step. I'm going to stop sharing for a little bit. Okay. And let me know if anybody has any questions so far. Okay. I'm going to take a look at the questions and just check. Okay, so Shankara Rao has a question. Physical goals are measurable, but many times, if one has goals in a psychological plane, suggestions not implementable, in my opinion. So, can you please elaborate a little bit more on this? What do you mean by the psychological goal that you have? Is it a spiritual goal or is it something else?
I think I meant about spiritual goals.
Okay, thank you. So, spiritual goal, attaining nirvana might not be achievable for everyone and all of us. But taking that first step towards that, let's say starting a little bit of meditation or reading scriptures, or maybe for someone, nirvana comes from helping others. So, depending on what you choose and how you choose, I am sure slowly and steadily we can move towards what we want to achieve. And in our philosophy of life in Hinduism and in a lot of other spiritual religions, it is said that if you don't achieve it now, you will achieve it in your next life. We try to get as close to it as possible in our life today and then leave the rest. So spiritual goals, I completely agree that we cannot have a deadline for a spiritual goal, but we can have deadline in terms of I am going to do these yoga practices every single day, no matter what. That is a goal we can set for ourselves.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I loved that question. Can you please give some tips to keep up consistency to reach the goal? Absolutely. I think having a partner when you set some goals, let's say it's a goal of achieving a certain career goals, let's say, or for a career goal, you can have a mentor who can support you. You can have friends where in a group where you support one another. If it is a goal in terms of, let's say, a health or fitness goal, you want to go for a walk every single day, having a group of friends that can join you and help you do that, achieve that, is good. If you want to be healthy and eat healthy, let's say that is a goal. How can you be consistent with that is taking support of your family and deciding that these are the things we are going to eat, or this is the time we are going to stop eating at night, finish our dinner by, let's say, 7:30, and after that we are just going to talk and go for a walk, and not eat chocolates when we come back, or not eat ice cream when we come back. That could be a goal. So it could be a health or fitness goal, or having partners to support you through your goal can help you keep consistent. So that is one of the useful tip. Another tip for keep being consistent is putting it on your calendar. Let's say one of your health fitness goal could be, I want to drink water every single day and that number of glasses of water could be different for different people. But let's say I forget to drink water because I am working all the time. Setting a timer for you every couple hours to either take a walk because you're sitting all the time, or take a few sips of water, all of that will give you that consistency. Having those small targets, setting timers, all of those things can be helpful. Do you have a personal experience or a story from impoverished background achieving big? Sorry, I don't. I have been really grateful that I had a good life, and very supportive parents, a very happy life throughout. So I don't have any personal story, but I have a story. My husband did not come from an impoverished background, but he comes from a very, very small village. He has lived in villages that had no electricity, no, he did not even feel the need for slippers all his until he was in 10th grade, I guess. And these are the kind of stories that really bring out how a determined person can get anywhere he or she wants. I have also experienced people where the children that I coach or I work with, they come from backgrounds where I have this one student whose father left them when they were born. So these children don't know who their dad is or was. The mother is a bigari kamgar, as you call them. So every single day they get work or they don't get work, depending on their physical ability and the work that is available. This child goes from one dump to another, collects metal scrap and sells it, and runs his family as well as studies, and wants to start his company someday. And when you look at this child and when you see him, his goals, and how he slowly is moving towards them, I have no doubt whatsoever that he will achieve them. It is just heartwarming to see how this child not only is trying to take strides to meeting his goals, but on the way helping his other friends to have these lofty goals that he has. Thinking about that, you can have a goal too, and you can achieve it. There are people to achieve them. Um, when you talk about experiences of people from impoverished backgrounds, I have seen two different kinds. There are children which I have experienced that will attend my sessions and will want to do a lot, and I really feel close to them, but they will never reach out to me afterwards. They will just be shy to reaching out to me, and I know that I can really try hard to help them as much as I can. But if they don't reach out, if they don't want to be helped, nobody can help them. And then there are these kids. When I first met these couple kids, I did not think that they would achieve anything in life because they were not as smart as some of the other children in the classroom. They were not coming first in their class or did not have lofty goals. But slowly and steadily, their goals have evolved, and they keep in touch, and they write to me on WhatsApp and say, "How are you doing?" They want to be in touch. They want to take help from me. And there are these situations when we, as individuals, whether we are adults or we are children, we feel helpless in situations. Unless we reach out to people, unless we ask for help, unless we get that hand holding for someone, we can't reach our goals. And so it's important for us to go out there and seek these mentors or coaches who can help us out, who can figure out something and money is not a requirement for that, by the way. Some of us will need people and a system to help us, and we will need money for that. But there is help available to even for people who don't have those resources available to them. They just have to look at the right place. So if you are doing, and I know a lot of Rotarians do a lot of great work, do encourage people, even when they don't have the resources, to come and ask for help. And there are lots of people in this world who are willing to offer that. So, okay. So yes, any other questions that you may have? Okay. We have a very, very diverse group today, so I wasn't sure what I needed to focus on. Sometimes it's important to really focus on one thing. If I'm talking to, let's say, homemakers, then makes it easier to just focus on what are your goals, what do you want to achieve. If I'm talking to younger children and children who are going to college, then it becomes important to see what they want to achieve and their specific goals. Today we have been talking mostly about a very open discussion about in general how to achieve goals. But if you have very specific questions and you want to write it in a private chat or write to me later on, feel free to do that. I'm going to just share my screen to take you to my contact information. My email address is here. There's my LinkedIn as well as my website. And you can reach out to me or my husband to get any guidance that you require. We do work a lot with startups. We work with large companies like ExxonMobil, Johnson & Johnson, Bristol Myers Squibb to help their leaders gain success and make a strategic plan for their business and help them achieve their goals. And we also work with individuals who don't have resources and help them achieve their goals. So we do it in both those criterias and work with a lot of people that might not have the help that they need. So feel free to get in touch. And yeah.
Thank you so much, Rashmi, Dr. Rashmi. I think it was a wonderful session, which, as though you said, it was not very specific because that's something which you are used to do in your regular profession, right? But let me tell you, in the last 18 sessions that we have done, this is the first time we are getting a coach, right? So for us also, it was completely new. Diamond mapping is something which I personally did not know. I have learned a lot. And I think you mentioned about goal setting in very, very simple language, which probably it is easy for each one of us to. I was reminded of the book Secret by Rhonda Byrne, while you were talking about that positivity in the goal and other things, as though talking about it is already being done or something of that kind. So
yes, I think Rhonda Byrne talks a lot about visualizing that success.
Right.
And yes, it's a great book.
Yeah. So I let Shekhar, you have raised your hand. Do you have any question?
Yeah, I do have a very a different question, Rashmi. So how does the goal setting look like, in Corona days, right, with the pandemic? Now, especially I'm asking this because I think if one thing that this pandemic has taught us is that, the plans can go astray, right? So what is your recommendation on, how do we plan in these times?
It's an excellent question, Shekhar. Thank you for asking it. So I'm a business coach and I work a lot with small and medium-sized businesses. And a lot of companies had to let go of people. A lot of companies had to hire people. So pivoting your goals slightly, depending on the situation, is very important. Your North Star or your main goal stays, but the path could be changed slightly depending on where you want to go just stays, but how you go there can change slightly. Maybe we have to take the road that is not traveled much because we are in situations, and I think a lot of bad things and really sad things have happened during COVID, but at the same time a lot of wonderful things have happened during COVID also. I think in India, I am a big believer of allowing people to work from home. And I don't really believe that productivity decreases when people work from home. And working with larger organizations, I have had to really work my way around having people understand how it's important to give people leeway and give them the accountability that they need to help them, to decide for themselves how they're going to do their projects or lead their teams. But companies have really opened up during Corona, during this COVID situation, because they have had no option. And now we will see more women leaders being able to have flexible timings, not just women leaders, men, and a lot of kids who could not go to colleges far away could avail those benefits. And so lots of great has come out of it, and people have learned to pivot and still stay on their primary goal that they have had in mind. We call it a North Star, that most important goal that you have. Yeah.
That's a very great point, Dr. Rashmi. I'm seeing Varalakshmi, President Varalakshmi raising her hand. Can you please ask your question?
Yes. I think you're muted. Yeah.
Yeah. I think now I'm unmuted. Yeah, my question is this. Now, in the last 5-10 years, more than success, failure is it's a very overrated word. And coming to the millennials, right? Now it's like, okay, it's perfectly fine to fail is how, we usually started. It's fine to do that. In that case, how relevant to their own selves would their goals be if you even start with, in a corner of your mind, you say, okay, it's okay to fail. So when it comes to goal setting in their lives, how clear can they be if even if they have an iota of there can be a possibility they can give a little bit of that leverage or a space to fail, how realistic would that goal be?
Okay, so let me just redefine the question. So, do you have a feeling that they, as millennials, they are okay to fail? So they might not be able to really set goals, and they might keep going back to, oh, it's okay.
Exactly.
I don't achieve.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Just to add a point to that, they have so many options in front of them today. The millennials, like particularly the new gen that's coming in, they have so many options also. So in which case I see that they are kind of confused about really who they are itself even at say 24, 25. I wouldn't call them millennials, but still. So how do we, coach them to have the right kind of goal setting?
Yeah. Okay. So I'll go back to clarity that I talked about initially.
Yeah.
And that clarity might be missing because they have so many avenues in front of them. If you have just one thing to eat, that's what you will eat. But if you have a menu of 100 items, then you're confused. So it is the excess of everything that they have that might lead to confusion. But I would not want to say that it's just the millennials. It is all of us now, because most of today's whatever generations are alive, different generations, have so much of exposure to television, to the internet, to food, there's so much of access that making a choice is getting harder. And that's why that thinking about clarity, figuring about what do you exactly want, what will make you happy, what is going to make you happy for just 2 weeks, and what is going to make you happy in a longer run. You might really want to go for that, go to the bar and have fun with friends when you have an exam next week, which is going to change the course of your life. So, what is more important to you? If you love both, then what is your priority for today? So, having that clarity of what they want and setting priorities, longer term priorities and short term priorities, that is extremely important. And I know it's hard. It's not just hard for them, it's hard for us too. But if they decide to, they can figure it out because they have more avenues to figure it out than we had when we were growing up. So I have seen some absolutely fabulously successful millennials who do a great job bringing in that clarity. And I think today's generation has much more clarity than what we had, or at least I had. I'm not going to talk about everyone, but at least I had. I think my clarity came from what my parents wanted me to do, or what the community's expectations were from me, what I wanted to do, how I wanted to dress, what I wanted to, what I should have looked like. All of those things came from external than internal. Whereas today's kids really probably know what they want. What they want kind of gets masked sometimes by their exposure to different kinds of things. And so I think as parents, we're always worried that are they getting the right kind of experience or exposure? And sometimes it's nice to just sit with them and talk to them and ask, what is really important to you? And once they say that answer, once they give that answer, however unrealistic it is for us, ask questions to dig deeper, to say, how do you think you are going to achieve that? What do you think you need? What do you think you need from me? And those questions are just going to open up more questions in their minds that is going to help them think and then make the right choices. And at the end, that's all we have as parents, right? We are just going to hope that they will make the right choices. But leading them to the right choices is our job, right?
Very, very beautifully answered, Dr. Rashmi. I think facilitating clarity and priority, I can clearly see those are the two main guide stones for all of us. So thank you so much. I think with that, we will complete this round. And can I request Rajaram to proceed for the next agenda?
I would request Rotarian Shekhar Harihara to introduce our chief guest today.
Sure, thank you, Rajaram. So good evening, everyone. It's indeed an honor to introduce the chief guest of the evening, Rotarian Mohan Kumar. And honestly, it's a very difficult task to introduce Rotarian Mohan, because a true justice to all that he has done will require a session by itself. I think Manoj has gone through Rashmi's session before, so he's given me a very time-bound introductory portion. So at best, with due regards to Rotarian Mohan, I'll try to give an appetizer here. So Rotarian Mohan is a joint secretary of Rotary Leadership Institute South Asia and a master trainer. As a discussion leader, he has facilitated discussions across Rotary districts of India, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka. In the pandemic period alone, he has facilitated over 50 RLI sessions. He's also the founder director of SPROF, a vocational fellowship of Rotarians, an association of strategic planning Rotarians and other skilled people. He's one among the 6 in the Rotary world to be honored as People of Action, Champions of Health, on the World Health Day that took place on 7th April 2021, in recognition of the work to improve the foundation of good health at home and across the globe. As a global LN4 ambassador for Ellen Meadows Prosthetic Hand Foundation, he has enabled free below elbow prosthetic hands to over 20,000 individuals in India, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Mauritius, and Zambia. His work in the pandemic has been recognized at the World Consumer Award in their product, Seagate, a dry fog disinfection system, which has been recognized as a gold winner in the best technology to combat and reduce the impact of COVID-19. He is a recipient of Indian Achiever Award 2020 in recognition of outstanding professional achievement in contribution to the nation building by Indian Achievers Forum. He's also received appreciation from Government of Karnataka as a Corona warrior and Ministry of Human Resource and Development as a mentor for a mega online hackathon to fight Corona for solving the challenges. He's always believed in learning and developing as a foundation for expanding opportunities. And the best endorsement that we have for this trait of his is the number of certifications that he has completed or undertaken in the pandemic time alone. And the topic range from social impact strategy to digital forensics. Happily married to Rotary since 2005, he's also the charter president of Rotary Bangalore, right, District 3190. And if this wasn't enough, Rotarian Mohan is also a living example of the word resilience, having been a survivor of tsunami in 2004-05, earthquake in Kathmandu, and now Corona. On behalf of RBWC and all its members and all the members for attending this session. We thank you for being part of our session today and heartily welcome you to present our Vocational Excellence Award. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Rotarian Shekhar. So do we go ahead?
We can just
Yes,
move
sir.
to the next slide.
Very, very honored to have you. Please, would like you to address us, sir. Thank you.
Okay, so do we present the Vocational Excellence Award and then I address, or how is it?
Whichever way you are comfortable, sir. No problem.
Let's give the moment to Dr. Rashmi. Then we can do the talking.
Sure,
Right?
sure.
Let's go ahead. All right.
It's on the screen, sir.
Okay, great. So good evening, everybody. It's a very momentous occasion to have Dr. Rashmi Kapse with us. Rotary always believes in worthy individuals and worthy enterprises. As part of our vocational service, we do recognize Dr. Rashmi Kapse's vocation. And as part of that, the citation is being conferred on Dr. Rashmi Kapse. The citation reads as follows: Rotary District 3190 and Rotary Bangalore Whitefield Central bestows Rotary Vocational Excellence Award to Rashmi Kapse, co-founder and CEO of Kapse Coaching and Consulting, in recognition of excellence achieved in her chosen field of vocation and contributing to the good of society for Jnana Vaidya Vocational Diversity Speaker Series, presented by yours truly, signed by Rotarian Manoj as the president. Then I also see the secretary. The fonts are too small. And of course, I can see our vocational service director, Radha Krishna, here. It's all to you, Dr. Rashmi. You deserve this. Congratulations and compliments from all of us.
Thank you very, very much. It was a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. So greetings to all our friends in Rotary and friends of Rotary. I'm extremely delighted to be part of this initiative focused on vocational service by Rotary Bangalore Whitefield Central and the team, the vocational team of RI District 3190, led by our past president Rotarian Radhakrishnan. The vocational service avenue calls for every Rotarian to recognize the worthiness of all useful occupations. We're delighted to recognize the contribution of Dr. Rashmi Kapse through her vocation. Of all the attributes of a leader, one attribute that really stands tall of a leader is when the leader imbibes the core values of the organization to the team at large. Integrity happens to be one of our core values. One of Rotary's greatest builder, Chesley Perry, who is the General Secretary for about 32 years, he summed it up that in the early direction of Rotary, we started off as a very simple and a more selfish endeavor to get additional business. Later, it grew and developed into a marvelous, great, universal movement with elements of altruism sparkling with beautiful gems of the philosophy and the science of service to man and society. The diamond map referred by Dr. Rashmi from a Rotary context is the object of Rotary for us. We all think, we choose what path we take in our life, who we socialize and mix with, what sort of views do we hold. But unique in that manner, as our ethos is firmly based on ethics and integrity. When we look at scaling of our projects or activities, we design it in such a manner that the solutions itself are larger than the at large. As we believe one of our services is that we are suppliers of happiness. Rotarian Varalakshmi, she also touched upon the aspect of the failures. There is an NGO in Europe basically that believes in transparency, and one of the things they practice is they publish an annual failure report. By the publishing of the annual failure report, you are extremely transparent in your process that at some given point of time, we do fail. And no wonder failure is a stepping stone to success. Dr. Lakshmi spoke about goals. She spoke about dreaming big. I would like to end with a very famous Chinese adage which says, when the winds of change blow, some people build shelters and some people build windmills. It's left all up to us that with our focus on ethos of integrity and ethics, we can definitely be a very impactful organization, and the transformation and the journey begins through us. Thank you, Dr. Rashmi, and all of you for having me here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. You spoke really from your heart, and I am amazed how many points you put in your own speech. So thank you so much for being very attentive.
Thank you, Dr. Rashmi.
Wonderful, sir. I think this was a very, very small gist of what we could hear from you. I know you are a great speaker, but this is I would say trailer hai, picture abhi baki hai. It's something of that kind, And the best part I like is suppliers of happiness. I think we all really take pride in calling ourselves Rotarians in form of being suppliers of happiness. And that makes us so conscious of what we do, of ethics, of integrity. Wonderful, sir. Wonderful. Wonderful thoughts. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, over to you, Rajaram.
Thank you, Manoj. Okay, we are coming close to the end. Now it's a vote of thanks time. I would like to thank everybody joined today's session. I would like to first of all thank the speaker, Dr. Rashmi, co-founder and CEO of Kaspi Coaching and Consulting. And I would like to thank her for this excellent session. If you see overall, we thought of have this session for 1 hour, but because of people asking so many questions, it extended for a long time. So that shows how much people are interested in this talk. Initially, I thought it is only the goal setting for me and by ourselves, but finally it ended up also a parenting session. Also, you gave a lot of good tips. Thank you for that. And I would like to thank the District 3190 for giving us this opportunity to conduct this Jnana Vaidya series, especially our vocational service director, Rotarian Radhakrishna, and district vocational team, and our club president, Rotarian Manoj Kabre, and Smita Kulkarni, and Rotarian Hariharan, and also all the Rotary and friends of Rotary, and our chief guest today, Rotarian KB Mohan Kumar, for giving us excellent tips and on how it is connected to the Rotary. That's really very helpful. And also I would like to thank all the guest clubs joined today: Rotary Bangalore Central, Rotary Bangalore Centennial, Rotary Bangalore Downtown, Rotary Bangalore Kanagapura Road, Rotary E-Club of E-Connect, Rotary Salem Metropolis, Rotary Ahmednagar, Priyadarshini, Rotary Hyderabad Pearls, Rotary Baroda Sayaji Nagari, Rotary Bangalore Abhigiri, Rotary Bangalore Yelhanga, Innerville Bangalore Southwest, Rotrack Shanti Niketan Bangalore, Rotary Bangalore North for joining today. I would like to thank everybody to make this session very, very successful. And before closing the session, I would like to announce the next session. That is on the every week we are conducting this session as usual. That is tomorrow. The next session is the last one. That is the June 23rd, Beyond Social Challenges by Rahul Vishwanath. Once again, I would like everybody to join next week's session also and make it very successful. And thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.